So we're recording. I've got Caroline Purvey with me today, and we're going to be talking about stress again, just for a change. We've had this as our theme this month, and really interesting that because Caroline and I met, I think it was in 2018, we got to talk and have a chat through Brand Builders. And I was actually, well, we were both getting changed, ready for the awards ceremony that Christmas. And Caroline had a hole in her tights, so we got talking then. And then it turned out that you were the one who presented me with my award, which was absolutely amazing. Caroline, just tell everybody a little bit about what you do, who you are, and why we're talking about stress.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you so much, Kay, for inviting me on. I always love to share what I do because it's my life passion. So I'm Caroline Purvey, and I live in Dover, Kent. But it matters not because I reach out all around the world. So my work is, my organisation is TRE UK, and we teach the total release experience. We're talking about stress because stress is never going to go away. It's part of life. And over the years, I've been involving a practice that I learned in South Africa back in 2011. And in that evolution, I've discovered so much about the body's ability to heal itself. Now, there's a big muscle in our body called the psoas, and I doubt you have heard of it. It's a big muscle. Is it okay to flash up a picture here?
Yeah, flash up a picture. I'm going to spell it while you get your picture out. So it's PSOAS.
PSOAS. So you can see that big muscle. And that big muscle sits under your diaphragm, behind all your organs and down to the top of your legs. Okay, it holds your upper body to your lower body, but what it also does is it stores from your fight, your flight, your emotions and your feelings. So you imagine when a baby's born, that startle response, that flinch, that moment of tonic freeze, and then fight, flight. That's what you do every time you go into a stressful, overwhelming or traumatic experience. You flinch and then you act. And so you draw tension into the body. Now, our language is simple and we talk buckets. You imagine your body's now a stress bucket and you filled it up from the day you're born. A lot of it you won't even remember. And so what happens is you keep filling and filling and filling. You might start to notice that physically, mentally, emotionally, things are not quite right. You might have head fog. You might feel that you're not focused, distracted. And then there's the impact on relationships. You start missing opportunities because you're just not thinking clearly. And then it starts to move deeper and you notice headaches. You can't sleep. IBS, the gut, it's your second brain. And anxiety, depression, back pain, hip, neck, shoulder pain, all these niggles, you might recognize some of them. But I tell you, at worst, if that bucket fills, and for many it does, it's blood pressure rises, then it's stroke, then it's heart attack, then it's cancer, and then there's suicide. Nobody wants to take their own life. I hate the word suicide. In the work that we do, and we've worked with many that have hit the brink, that bucket is so full, there's been nowhere to go.
I think that's amazing, isn't it? I think especially with my niche as well, which is women over 45, 50, we don't realize how much our life has impacted us, and to that point where our buckets are so full. And you have what I think is just such a simple, easy way to take out some stuff out that bucket. And so tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so absolutely, Kay. The COVID situation has exacerbated the stress and anxiety levels, and the basic tools that everybody uses, and we've been using them for years. Whether that's somebody wave a magic wand, maybe better, doctor give me a prescription, counsellor talk it out of me. We've come to realise you can't talk it out the body. It all helps, But then there's all that investment that we haven't been able to do of late, but whether that's massage or acupuncture or hypnotherapy or tapping or EFT or anything else, it all costs money. And many have been plunged into difficult situations financially as well during these times. There's a natural, innate way that your body can heal itself. That psoas muscle that I talked about, that's the storehouse. And what needs to happen is to release tension from the body. Now, I love to use the analogy with animals because this is a reptilian brain practice. And as you said, Kay, so simple.
Yeah.
Simple and yet empowering. And more than that, incredibly powerful, which is why we've built our entire education around this. So that one discovers they can not only release, but they've got a life tool. And that is so important.
Yeah.
Never got to buy into it again. It's a one-off hit. So the reptilian's brain is responsible for the basic functions of survival in our body. And I always find this interesting every time I share it. That's breathing. Do you wake up in the morning and think, what have I got to do to breathe? Of course you don't. It happens. And what about your heart? Pumps away, doesn't it? That fine engineering.
Yeah.
Fascinating. The body's fascinating. We live in it, but do we know what goes on in there? Do we ever appreciate what we have is gold? Breathing and the heart, all the while they're functioning, great. You don't have to do anything to make them function. But if they get clogged up, if they get messed up, they get interrupted, disrupted, it's almost serious issues or game over.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And there's a third missing piece of the jigsaw. Now, if you imagine a lion chasing the zebra will run and run and run until he's free of his predator. And what does he do before he eats grass? Very simply, has a shiver and a shake. That's it. If you've got a dog, you've seen the dog shiver and shake. What they're doing is just getting rid of the adrenaline and cortisol from that chase. Fight, flight released, and calm takes over. Then they can eat grass. But we as humans, we've suppressed that function. And it doesn't matter how many times I ask adults a question. If a child walked into your space, it was frightened, crying, visibly upset, but shaking, it had seen something, what would you do? And the answer is always the same. Give it a hug.
Yeah, stop them shaking, yeah.
Yeah, and tell them it's safe. And we've done that with adults as well.
Yeah.
And so what we teach is how you can empower yourself to do a very simple weekly routine that takes no more than 1 hour a week to release the tension from the body. And with all of that, heal from the past and build resilience.
And the other thing that I really love about this technique and what makes me excited, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your physical abilities, your physical fitness, where you live in the world, your race, religion, anything, none of it matters. You can do this as soon as you've been taught. So yeah, I love that. I think it's simple's my word.
Yes, and that just reminds me of a little story of a lady that called me. Could she come to a workshop? We used to do workshops pre-COVID, but of course now it's much more powerful the way we deliver. But a lady called and said, my doctor said, could I attend your workshop? She said, but the thing is, I'm in a wheelchair. And I said to her, what put you in the wheelchair? She said, I had to jump from the top floor of a house that was on fire and my sister was murdered.
Oh.
I said, then you come to the workshop. I said, can you get to the floor? She said, no. I said, well, we'll find a way. So she came to the workshop with all the other people that came, including the doctor. And we sat her against the wall. And I'm not kidding you. Within a week, she had felt the power of her body releasing. Mm. And now she's actually a story in my book, Feel It to Heal It. The impact of the healing power of letting the body go, and the wonderful stories, and actually Kelly's stories in there, how she's now on way less medication, and how she's living in the moment, not just in the past as she was locked away, blocked in the horrors of the past. And it's wonderful. And there's so many like that.
So we think of stress, and then, we think of anxiety and depression. And then there's other people who are suffering from PTSD, which is sort of like the next level. And then, as you say, there's people who have got thoughts of actually committing suicide. The psoas muscle, this technique that you've got, helps all of those people at all levels.
Yeah. We spent 2.5 years pre-COVID working in prison. Many on drugs and alcohol. They get what we call get-by strategies. Mm-hmm. And with these strategies, it gives them a little dose of dopamine so that they feel good. But unfortunately, the feel good then overrides and we need some more. And that's how addictions happen, whether it's eating, going to the gym. But working in prison has been absolutely a miraculous, wonderful experience, because seeing the anger dissipate, seeing them coming off drugs and the dependency, and discovering who they are. And so many of them, I would say virtually all of them we work with, have childhood trauma trapped in their body. I remember one man saying, if I had known this when I was 8, I would not be here now. Exactly. And that's the tragedy of it. And everybody fills their bucket, some worse than others. Life's like snakes and ladders, isn't it? We never know what's around the corner. But every situation, we don't have to make it complicated. Anxiety, depression, IBS, they're all symptoms of a full bucket.
Yeah.
So if you can empty the bucket, what's going to happen?
Yeah, your life changes completely.
Yeah.
And as you said, the thing is, there's no medical intervention. There's no huge amounts of money involved. There's a small deposit at the beginning, but then as you say, you've got a live tool that you can use. And, dedicating yourself, and the habits, the key, forming the habit, doing this on a regular basis each week, 30, 40 minutes, can make such a big difference. So my story is very interesting. I don't class myself as a very stressful person. I have had stress in my life, that's for definite. We all have. It was interesting when I saw your list of, what could be the possible stresses in life, such as being born. You don't think about that because, you can't remember that. Giving birth and accidents, watching accidents. What else was on the list? I'm trying to remember now. Relationship. Yes, exactly. Financial stresses.
Yeah, work pressure.
And you add all that up, and then if you think, well, that's 2 births and my birth, that's 3 births, that's like 3 points. It's very, very easy to top up your bucket.
Loss of loved ones, and we've all lost loved ones. Yeah. The list is endless.
And I thought, well, my bucket's not very full. Started doing the work in January, and noticed an amazing transformation. Every time I do it, it's different, exciting. I really look forward to doing the practice. It's not difficult at all, and my body loves it. Therefore, when I come out of it, I'm definitely on a high. And it's also I get these little visions of memories. And the last one was we were away on holiday, and I was in a museum, and I fell down the beautiful marble stairs in the museum. Ouch. And ended up with a frozen shoulder. And it was interesting to listen to my body for the first time ever after doing the shaking, and finding that my left elbow was the place where I'd got this release. I needed to release this tension. My frozen shoulder was my right arm. It's nothing to do with that, but I must have banged that elbow on the way down those stairs and not realized it. So very, very interesting, and I'm loving the process, and I really want, I'm desperate to share this with other people because I think it will make a big, big change.
Yeah, I think the way is, so thank you for sharing all of that. And, it doesn't matter how good you feel, you do not know how much better you can feel. Yeah. I was one of those tough buckets before I did this, but let me tell you, I have been doing it every week for the last 9 years.
Wow.
It is my life tool. Once
Yeah.
a week. Once a week. And what it does is it heals from the past and it builds resilience. And you know when it's worked, when you can talk about your story without the feelings coming up, without the emotions. I hear so many sharing a story and they start off and then suddenly that trigger, that raw edge, and all the tears come and they can't get the story out. You all have an amazing story inside you. And when you do the practice, you know, your body certainly does keep the score.
Yeah.
And although you feel you might have gotten over it, your body has remembered it. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I've worked with people who have spent thousands on their healing journey and still their body's holding on to in the muscle memory. And that's why it's important to get rid of that tension. We're all energetic beings.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Science, yeah. And this is energy.
Yeah.
We're storing blocked energy and we need to let it out. Otherwise it will just, you know, it's like, imagine a coiled spring that's so tight and we get used to that tightness. And so we tighten some more. Before we know it, we've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So imagine that tightness just uncoiling. It's amazing. The tension disappears, joints are freer, pain goes, blocked memories go. And we start to make peace with the bad experiences in our life or the relationships or the way we might have been treated. Because we start to go back and remember then and recognize. There's a lady only this week in her practice, she saw herself as a 9-month-old baby with her mother and her grandparents. And she said, my grandfather hated me. But she said, when I saw this, she said, I couldn't have remembered that. But what I realized, that he wasn't angry with me. I was just a 9-month-old baby. He was just an angry man. And then we start to recognize what made his bucket fill.
Yeah.
And then there's a forgiveness and there's a peace in the situation. Everybody carries their bucket load of stuff through, from adults to children, into their adulthood, into their children. And it's time to break the chains and break the cycle. And with all of those in our hospital services, all having to deal with their own pressures now in this unprecedented times we've been living in, what is the only solution? Let your body do the talking. We all do enough talking. Let your body talk.
And that's another really good thing about doing this exercise as well, is there's no talking involved. You don't have to sit and explain to somebody the feelings and emotions that you might be having. And, you know, it's a completely animal, human exercise. You don't need to do any of the brain stuff. It's just a physical activity. So yeah, anybody who's struggling with the thought of having to go and talk to somebody, you don't have to do that either, which is great.
Yeah. And I absolutely right. And we now, although our program is the total release experience, we look at the impact from it and we call it the tap effect. So when you thoughtfully activate your psoas, what is the effect on that? On the pain you've been having, on the grief you've been dealing with, or the work pressures you've had to cope with, or the medical interventions, or the financial losses. And it has an impact on every level.
And the other lovely thing that has got me also excited in that when you do this work with Caroline, and you can do this online now, obviously, because you can't do it all in physical places, but you can do it online. And you start with filling in a questionnaire, and then you fill in your journal as you're going along, and you finish the exercise 4 weeks after and fill in your journal again. And there's some really good information, not only just for you, but on a basic level for Caroline to use to create a scientific study to prove that this is a really, really good way of us dealing with stress in today's world. Tell us a little bit about what we were talking about just before we actually started recording. you've got some exciting stuff going on with universities. Tell people about that.
Well, we have, and yeah, really excited. And we're working on a big project with a police in the country, police group in the country, testing it, because they too have a lot of trauma to deal with.
Yeah.
They lose a lot of their personnel. And we are integrating GAD-7, PHQ-9 into that questionnaire that we ask. Those are two important elements because it's a measure recognised on anxiety and depression. Now, after 4 sessions, it's a lifetime course, but it's a 4-module course. They work through to get the education, the experience and the confidence and be comfortable with the practice. But that has shown a reduction of 50% in anxiety and depression. Now you tell me what else is out there.
Yeah.
And so bigger studies are coming. It's very important to us that we get the best flagship we can. My program's validated, accredited by the Federation of Holistic Therapies, and that's something that was important to me some years ago when I got that. Now we're looking for validation of our data that we gather, and absolutely thrilled to be connected to a university that is picking that up with us. And watch the space, really. They are actually looking at the research questionnaire we use, and next to no tweaking, which is wonderful, but to get a university to validate and accredit that data, and also work with us on a big project that we want, so we gather more data. That's exciting indeed, because why do we need to spend years studying? This is so fast acting. And why? Because it's innate in your own body, and that is what is important. Yeah. You know, one session can shift such a lot. Yeah. And your body knows what it's going to shift. Yeah. That's the joy. We have no say in it. We do enough talking. And everybody we go to try and fix us comes from the outside in. Yeah. Well, just for once, this is
the other way around. Inside
out.
Yes. Yeah. So Caroline, where can everybody find you? I'll make sure when this video goes into the group, I'll make sure that your links are below, but just tell everybody, you know, where can they find you?
Yeah, so they can find me on treuk.com. That is the website. Contact form is there, information about the programs that we run, 2 offerings, and with both of them, whether you choose to independently learn online, if you're ready to step out your comfort zone, then great, it works. If you've got complex trauma, or you've got physical, you know, disabilities or other things going on, and you want to tread carefully, then we do have that program as well. Yeah. We're just like we're sitting here talking, it's like we're in the same room with each other. So I work and guide through the initial sessions, but it's about empowering each individual. So that's where you can find out about that. You'll also see on the website access to purchase my book. That might be a place you want to start. Feel It to Heal It. Great insights, a lot of explanation. You will not find the practice in there, of course, because for the very reason that I do the work I do. It's very, very powerful. There's nothing more powerful than your body letting go of what you've been carrying around since the day you were born.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to say, you know, if you've got concerns about the fact that you know your bucket's full, you know sort of what it's full of, and you may be a little bit anxious about letting go of it, you know, a bit fearful, having Caroline there to support you, I think is hugely part and beneficial of the whole thing. Because you can do the release, and Caroline can help you with any of the other symptoms that you may have afterwards, and give you the confidence to do the work, which is really, really key. So
I'm also on Facebook.
Yeah.
TRE UK, Total Release Experience. If
you're also in the group, so people can find you through messaging you in the group. So
absolutely. Yeah. And in this special group, I could perhaps even send you my calendar link if you like, Kay. 15 minutes. If anybody wants to, you know, they don't even have to phone me or email. Just click on the link, book a 15-minute slot. We can meet on Zoom. You know, we can say hello. I can explain more, talk about how I can best serve you, and what you will get from the program.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
I hope that everybody in the group sees this. There's nearly 700 members at the minute. This is like the tool for 2021 and the years to come. And, you know, please reach out to either Caroline or myself, and we can tell you a little bit more about it. And come and do this, because there is nothing better than having a simple technique to reduce stress. And simplicity is what we're all about. And this is so simple. It's absolutely amazing.
And let me just reaffirm as well, this is not a therapy. This is not mine. This is yours. Yeah. I am just educating you to reconnect with your body and unlock that door that your body knows, but you've forgotten.
Yeah. That's a fantastic place to finish. Thank you so much for your time, Caroline. I'm going to stop the recording now, stick this into the group so that everybody can see it. And I know I'll speak to you soon again. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kay.
My pleasure. Take care, everybody. We'll speak soon.